Hey language lovers, it's Jessica with For the Love of Languages. If you're just now joining me on this language expedition of 52 weeks, then click on the link in the description box below to find out more about the 52 Pickup Project and what it is. This week's featured language is Tamazight, the language of the indigenous people of North Africa, the Amazigh. Not sure what that means? Well, Tamazight is probably better recognized as the Berber languages. However, that term is considered a pejorative by its native speakers. It's difficult to pinpoint how old the language really is. It is an ancient Afro-Asiatic language spoken in Morocco, Algeria, Libya, Tunisia, and in the northern parts of Mali and Niger. It is also found in small communities in Egypt, Burkina Faso, and Mauritania. I figured that finding a speaker or teacher of Tamazight locally would be about as easy as finding a needle in a haystack. So naturally, I took to italki in search of someone who might be willing to help me learn about this fascinating language. I wrote to Soufiane, who was eager to help me and was extremely instrumental in helping me get this segment in motion and in contact with other people learning Tashkent. He was able to offer such valuable information about Tamazight dialects, history, writing system, and so much more. Let's see what he had to say. Hi, Soufiane. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today about the Tamazight language. I'm really excited to tell people more about it. This year is the year of Indigenous languages, and this is the first Indigenous language that I'm featuring in the 52 Pickup Project.
Hi, Jessica, and thank you very much for inviting me to this interview about Amazigh language.
So, I think what everybody wants to know whenever they start learning a language is the level of difficulty. So let's talk about this language and what people can expect. Do you think that it is easy for someone to start off with, or would you say it's difficult? What is your opinion as a teacher?
Frankly, most of my students find Tamazight difficult. Why? Because there are fewer vowels than Arabic or French or English or Spanish. Sometimes you can have 6 or 7 or more consonants that follow each other and without any vowels. Do you want an example?
Yes, could you show us how to pronounce it when buying a vowel is absolutely not an option? Could you tell us how to pronounce all those consonants in a row?
Yes, for example, the sentence, they understood them. If I want to say it in Tamazight, I would say فهمنتنت. So so 8 consonant without a vowel. فهمنتنت.
Wow, that is, I can see where that would be intimidating for people. So that is probably the thing that that gets most beginners is trying to learn how to pronounce those words with all those consonants.
Yes, it's very challenging. Another reason why Tamazight is difficult because there are few materials and textbooks to learn it.
Yeah, I actually went online to see what I could find. If I go to the library or my local bookstore, there's nothing. So I had to go shopping online, and I only found one book. I found an ebook for the language, and it was really difficult to find anything else. So
yes.
I understand what you're saying. One thing that I would like to know is what is your favorite aspect of the language to teach, such as grammar, pronunciation, writing? What do you really enjoy working with students on?
So personally, my favorite aspect of my language to teach is grammar, because for me and also for my students, it's very logical. And the grammatical system is very easy if we compare it with that of French or English or Arabic. It's very easy.
And how about dialects? What are there many dialects of the language, or and if there are, can you compare a couple of them?
Yes, of course. There are many Amazigh dialects. The picture shows that, for example, in Algeria, we have Taqbaylit, which is spoken in the north Algeria, and we have also Tuareg, spoken in South Algeria, Mali, Niger, and Chad. And only in Morocco we have three major dialects: Tarifit, Tazayanit, and Tashlihit. Tarifit, which is spoken in the north, Tazayanit, which is spoken in the middle Atlas, and Tashlihit, which is my native dialect, and we speak it in the south of Morocco. We like Marrakesh, Agadir.
Uh-huh. So the lesson that we were doing is the Tashlheet dialect. That's
Yes, yes.
okay.
And
And
I can also say that, sorry, I can also say that each dialect has a sub dialects. It means that there are differences between Tashlhit, spoken in Tiznit, and the one spoken in Haha. Haha is a region that is not far from Essaouira. So let's do a small comparison.
okay.
So if we want to say I went, in Tiznit is dih, but in Haha is ftir. So dih, ftir is not the same. Another word, wave. Wave in Tiznit is tadanga, but in Haha is tayurt. So tadanga, tayurt is not the same. But don't worry, we understand each other very, very well, and we do not even pay attention when we speak naturally. We don't see these small differences.
And one thing that many people want to know is what are some of the struggles that learners encounter at the maybe the beginner level and the intermediate level, and those that are able to get to an advanced level, what do they struggle with?
Good question. For beginner level is pronunciation and listening comprehension, because we talk naturally but fast. We talk fast when we talk naturally. For intermediate stage or level is translating literally expression from their their mother tongue. And for advanced stage, the difficulty is to understanding some words used only in some regions.
What are some of the unique features of your language?
Oh, okay. So for many languages, if there are changes of words, we often have these changes at the end. But in Tashlihit, you can have changes at the beginning of the word. So, for example, to say mountain is adrar, adrar. If you have a preposition right before, is udrar. So we have a change in the beginning of the word. Other thing is Berber languages spoken in Morocco and Algeria hold official statutes along with Arabic. And all Berber languages have been more or less influenced by Arabic. And all Maghrebi Arabic varieties show some influence from Berber, from Tamazight.
could you briefly describe a historical or cultural note about your language that might be of interest to
Yes.
people thinking about taking it on?
Yes, something funny is if you come as a guest to a barber house, he will sprinkle perfume on you without asking your permission. That is proof of hospitality and he appreciates your visit. So don't be surprised if that happens to you.
I think that's a very nice gesture. If somebody were to do that to me when I entered their home, I would take it in a very positive way. And
Yeah,
how about the writing system? Now, I've seen different things. I've seen something that mostly resembles the Latin script. And then I've seen other characters. Can you tell me about the two and explain what you use?
yeah. The system, the writing system of Tamazight, we call it Tifina, Tifina. So verbal language in primarily is oral language. So it's more oral than written language. And the direction of writing is left to right in horizontal lines. And in 2003, Tifina became the official script of Tamazight language in Morocco. It is also used by the Tuareg and used by the women for private notes, for love letters, or for decoration.
Okay. And then would we see this on signs in the street, or is it only for those purposes?
Yes, only in the universities. For example, if I want to write a message to my friend, I will write it using Latin letter. So Tifinagh is only used at the university and especially by teachers and students who study the history of Tamazight, for example.
It's such an interesting looking writing system. It's very appealing, and I think it piques curiosity about the language in a lot of people. How about let's talk about some of the spoken language. What about slang or proverbs or funny sayings? Are there any that you would like to tell us about that are special?
Yeah, among the first expressions that the Berber students learns, I quote, yet, siet, urd, yet, fiet. And that means literally one by one, and not one on one. And the true meaning is we must do things well, we must do them in a well organization, in a good order, and not with anarchy.
It's this seems like such an expressive language with so much to take away from it. And so another question that I had was what what has been the most unique reason for anybody learning the language? Maybe they contact you and they say, I need to learn Tamazight or I want to learn it. What are some reasons?
Okay, so the most unique reason a student has given for learning Tamazight. Tamazight it's the language spoken by the original population of North Africa. It is a very strong language. Why? Because it resisted the Roman colonization, Phoenician, Arabic, French, Spanish, Portuguese colonization. In spite, in spite of all this, Tamazight is alive. So the most unique reason a student has given for learning Tamazight is that.
That's a beautiful reason. I mean, the strength of the language.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so what? Why do you feel like Tamazight is important? From a global perspective, on the entire world stage. Why is it important?
It is important language in terms of number of speakers. I can say there are more than 40 millions who speak Berber today around the world. And if you want to come to the most touristic places in Morocco, Agadir, Marrakesh, Taroudant, Meknes, Hoceima, most of these cities are Berbers. And to be able to communicate with people there, you need to know a minimum of phrases.
I believe it's always good when you can at least offer some basic greetings and pleases and thank yous in the language when you're traveling anywhere. And can you give some reasons why somebody who is thinking about learning Tamazight, why should they learn it?
They should learn it because the language, Tamazight, it goes back to prehistoric times. They have been around for at least four 4,000 years or maybe more. It's a very old language. And the second reason is by learning Tamazight, you will discover a culture and know some people. And another reason is the traditional dishes are very, very delicious because they are made with the argan oil that does not exist anywhere in the world except Morocco and more precisely in Agadir, my city. So learning Tashnihit is very good. Is a very good idea to eat more dishes in Agadir.
Can you tell us some dishes that you would recommend if I were to come visit? What would you give me to eat?
Yes, I recommend you tagine.
Tagine.
Yes, or couscous.
Okay, I think
Couscous.
I've had couscous before. Is tagine? Is it cooked in a pot that's kind of shaped like this?
Yeah, yeah. This
Yeah.
is tagine.
Oh, okay. Wow, I will definitely have to try that. But I think the only place to probably get some really good is to travel to Morocco. Um,
Yeah.
and Okay, so for our friends that are thinking now about taking a lesson or getting to know Tamazight, what are some pointers that you would give them for getting started in learning the language?
Yeah, so they have asked a lot of questions and come to Morocco, live with the natives. It's the it's the best way to learn the language, the Tamazight, and also actively note new vocabulary words. This is
Okay.
my advice for the beginning students.
So learn the vocabulary and live among the people. That's got to be the best way to learn a language is immersion. And not only just because you're hearing it all the time. I think being in the environment is a big inspiration for learning. So my final question to you is, what do you love the most about your language?
What I love the most in my language, it's my language, Tamazight, it's a very pictorial language. It is very much related to nature. In many of our proverbs, we use words related to the nature. In our science, we talk only about love and nature. And there are many words who are really so cute. For example, to say good night, we say Timen Siwin. Timen Siwin. Can you repeat it? Timen Siwin.
Timan Siwin.
How do you find this word?
Well, it seems easy enough to say. What is it? Is there a literal meaning to it? Is there?
No, but it's a cute word. Timancy win. Cute.
I guess it's
It
kind of
sounds cute.
equivalent to our nighty night. Nighty night.
Yeah. And if we want to say good morning, we say tifawin. Tifawin. And tifawin means literally lights. So good morning is lights. And to say hello or hi is azul. Azul is a word composed of two words. Az, which means approach, and ul is heart. So azul means approach to my heart.
That's beautiful. I love that expression. I think that's probably the warmest way that you could possibly greet somebody. So thank you so much for talking to me and sharing your knowledge about Tamazight with all of our viewers. And I encourage people to give it a try. It's a beautiful language, maybe a little bit difficult to pronounce at first, but doable, right?
Yeah, it was my pleasure. And thank you for this interview. And I was very happy to share this information with you.
Oh, thanks.
Tamazight by far has been one of the more difficult languages that I've ever explored. The pronunciation, the consonants in just one word are enough to knock your socks off. Seriously, you'll be like, where are my socks? On the other hand, I found it to be a very beautiful and expressive language with words like azul. Azul is the word for hello and means approach my heart. But before I pass judgment, let's talk to some other people who have been studying the language for longer than I have. I was very fortunate to be able to speak to two of Soufiane's students. First, I was able to speak to Sarah, who's been studying the language for about a year, and then to Reina, who's been at it for about 7 months. It was very interesting to be able to hear their experiences and their reasons for studying Tamazight.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks so much for talking to me today about Tamazight. So I think what I wanted to know was, out of all the widely spoken languages in the world, why have you decided to study this language?
Yeah, so I think I got lucky in terms of how my life path brought me to studying this language, and one of the main reasons was that I was a part of this school in New Mexico called Bolad's Kitchen, and it's a Martin Prechtel's school, and as part of being in this school, he had given us the assignment to learn a non-verb to be language, and to learn a language that different layers to that, but also to learn a new instrument and to study music from a different culture. And so I got lucky because there were already a lot of people in Santa Cruz, California, where I'm from, who had been studying with two master musicians from Morocco. And I got to just join in this group and start studying the music. And then from there, through studying the Tamazight music, I naturally wanted to dive in and keep studying and learn the language. So for me, it's been a process of wanting to kind of enhance my own life and my understanding and keep the seeds alive of beauty and language. I happen to be so fortunate that my teacher, Fatah, who is an indigenous Amazigh Moroccan person, was living in California and was ready and available to teach music, and then I found more teachers for Tashalhit and Tamazight.
It's a kind of long story because I started to look for someone who could teach me Tamazight because I'm interested in Morocco history, Morocco language, and in my research I found out that the Tamazight is very important to understand what is going on and all the story of Morocco. But right now, it is very, very important to know that the very young people there they are choosing to speak Tamazight as kind of resistance. Even they prefer to speak Tamazight instead to speak Arab. So this fight started in the 90s, and in 2017, Tamazight became to be the second official language in Morocco, which is a very, very important and interesting process there. So all this process, is part of my research in the National University of Mexico, and we have an agreement with the University of Agadir. And Agadir in Morocco is a region very important that right now there are a lot of Berber persons. Yeah, because I have to say that Tamazight popular is known as Berber, language. I mean, almost nobody knows that the right name is Tamazight.
Right. That
Yes.
exactly right. And how long have you been at this?
I guess it's 3 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how are you learning? Are you were learning with a teacher online and in person, is that correct?
Yeah, so I've been learning. I started learning by learning music. So singing songs in Tamazight. And just that's been such an enjoyable, easy way to kind of take on the language and wrap my mouth and my being around these sounds that I am foreign to, that I haven't learned before. And then that brought me to studying online, taking the classes on italki with the teachers there, which has been an incredible resource, especially as someone for me where I'm a working professional, and so to be able to take these classes at times that work has been really amazing. And then also just establishing relationships with people from Morocco. So I've been there twice now and have made many good friends, and so I've been learning to speak with them via all of the great internet tools we have nowadays.
Oh.
So
And how long have you been studying Tamazight?
7 months.
7 months, okay. And are you learning how to write the script? Are you learning Tifino?
Yes, yes. Right now, I can. I think I have improved a lot.
Oh,
Yes,
that's good.
yes. Yeah. It has been hard. It has been hard because many times you start to study, and that day you can remember, but the next day, if you don't study, you already forget everything. So it has to be a daily study. So I have been lucky too, because I have been during the last months like 4 times in Morocco. So
Oh, okay. So
yes,
you're actually getting to go there and you're getting to use the language among the people.
yeah,
So you're not just, I guess, what they would call an armchair learner. You're actually getting the application, and that's really
yeah,
good.
yeah.
And how's that working out for you? Do you feel comfortable based on the 7 months that you've put in study? Do you feel comfortable using it? And is it enjoyable?
Well, I feel comfortable, and the people there is very, very kind. They help. They try to help, and usually I tell them, please help me because I'm studying. I want to improve my to be able to speak better, and please don't talk to me in any other language, please.
And what is their reaction when they find out that you're learning? How do they receive that?
They are so kind. The Moroccan people is the most. I mean, they are so kind. They are so sweet, and they are so happy that someone is interested in learning the language. They are so nice, and they smile to you when they know that. So
I
it's
think that's Yeah, rewarding enough reason to learn such a smaller spoken language is the reward that you get whenever people uh, receive it positively. Yes.
Yes, for me has been a very important that part, and I think that they are so happy, as you say, that someone is interested in their language. Yes.
And would you say that music has been the driving force? Has that been the main um, uh, gateway to learning this language? Probably the strongest avenue into the language that you have.
Definitely. Yeah, I feel like music is a really important piece for that. And I think for me it's also a desire to want to help keep seeds alive and preserve really special, more marginalized languages. For instance, like Tamazight in particular, I think to my understanding, it's only in the past 10 years or so that this language has become an official language in Morocco and has been really acknowledged and recognized. And now there's this process of kind of standardizing that language so that way it can be taught, just as how like English and all of the more like dominant languages, Romance languages are. So yeah. So for me, just the fact that this really beautiful language has survived seems across so much time and different kinds of colonization of Morocco is just a miracle. So I want to be a part of keeping that language alive.
Right.
The thesis of this research is that Moroccan people is one of the most hospitalitarian people in all the world, and that's a very and it's very strong to survive during my thousands of years because these people is the population is one of the most ancient people, like they are more than 5,000 years ago. They is now the Bereberes, for example, and Sahrawi also, and they have survived in the desert. I mean, where there is nothing, they had survived, and
Yes.
the question is, how can they? I mean, how it can be possible this?
Hmm.
No, which are the ways you can survive in a place where there is nothing. You know?
Hmm.
So one of the keys to understand that is because they are so hospitalitarian with people because they have been conquered by empires, by all kind. I mean, for Islam, I mean, and they have taken the best of all these people that have become, and make
Yes.
and they have used them in the best way to
Yes.
prove themselves without lose their identity and
Hmm.
themselves. So it's very, very interesting. The Tamazight now is is still alive because they have been under the Spain, under France, under all the all the Islamic dynasties and more people that have arrived there to conquer all these lands, and they had survived until now.
Yes.
So the key is not is the capacity to uh, to include to include
Hmm.
the best things from the others.
Exactly.
Hmm. So I think that is very interesting that they can speak French, English, German, Spanish without problem.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Now let's talk about resources. That is, I know that that's really hard to come by for this language because I had looked online and the only thing that I had found was maybe a PDF for the Peace Corps and some books on Amazon.com. besides the materials that you get for from your teacher, what other resources do you use to help you study and listen and read and practice?
Well, Soufiane has helped me a lot because he has gave me tales, music, videos, stories. I mean, he had gave me a lot of material of any kind. So I had a lot of sources. I also, by my side, when I go to the University in Agadir, I had bought a lot of books, on Tamazight, and I tried to read it little by little. That's that. I mean, books, tales, music, also films. I have
Okay.
into films. So yeah, those kind of resources.
So did you struggle to find resources, and what kind of resources do you currently use?
Yeah. Like one of the biggest challenges in this language is definitely because it is a lesser studied language. There's a lot of challenge in finding like accurate, easy resources. For instance, there are a lot of more like dictionaries and materials in French because of the French-Morocco relationship. Um, but yeah, I feel like I'm finding the tutors online has been incredibly helpful, but in regards to the vast array of resources that you can find in materials for learning Spanish or English, they're just not there. So yeah, it's made it more challenging, but also in a way like more rewarding and more exciting because I feel like I do have to really work for it. And this language, it's so special because when I go to Morocco, it's like every person, because it's still more, I feel like, village oriented, that each region has their special dialects and the ways that they say things, and that it can almost be like in like conflict or something, or like, yeah. So I feel like I'm learning more just about kind of the socio-political, historical landscape as well through the language.
Yes. Have you learned how to write in the language? Have you learned the Tifino?
Filipina. I haven't started to learn that yet. Just I learned how to write my name, but I haven't learned that alphabet yet. That'll be like down the line. Yeah.
Okay.
But I look forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I learned how to write my name and
Yeah.
and Azul.
Yes.
That's just about it. But it's very fascinating just to look at it and to know what it means. To look at it and understand and know what it means is something pretty special, I think.
Yeah, and that even that, like the Tifina, I think my understanding is that it was the Tuareg women who were writing that in the sand and like preserving that language, or at least the writing, and now to see more people sort of bringing that back with signs in Morocco and having that being more recognized. There's so much I don't understand, but my little window in it, it feels like another treasure that's being lived in and kept alive. So, yeah.
Let's talk about your italki experience. So when you went online, you knew you wanted to find a teacher for this language. What were you looking for? What kind of qualities and qualifications were you looking for in a teacher? Because this is such a specialized language. It must have been quite a search.
Well, I think I was lucky because I had a friend who had already been studying the language for 5 years or so, and she had kind of laid the groundwork, and she is the one who referred me to Italki, and she referred me to Yassine, who's the brother of Soufiane, and there was only, I think, maybe 2 people teaching, offering Tamazight / Tashilhit as a language option, and so I wanted to support all the teachers who were teaching that. I wanted to support them all, so I just took lessons from everyone, and I actually have 2 teachers on iTalk who I get to learn from. And that feels really great because I want to support that language, and it's amazing to have two different perspectives on the language.
Sure.
Yeah, so for me, I was just looking kind of for anyone who was teaching it, and I feel like I got lucky because both of the people on there are fantastic and incredibly sweet and generous and prepared, qualified people. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So to become proficient in a language, people usually try to master all four of the skills: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. How do you practice yours? What is and which one do you find yourself practicing the most?
Right. Well, I think that I would probably say I'm kind of a delinquent student in a way because I don't really study much aside from in my no, maybe that's not true. I study a lot because I'm translating the songs that I'm learning, and then I do the conversation, the speaking in my classes, and then I text. But in terms of like learning more formally as I studied when I was in school, a little different. This is more of my hobby, and I noticed that I go through waves of really learning it. But in terms of learning to write, that's probably the weakest area because living in the realm and the era of texting, I just know how to do the texting.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So has it been difficult to find native speakers to practice with in Morocco or outside of Morocco? What has been your experience with both?
Yeah, so I noticed when I was in Morocco, something that was really eye-opening to me is that I realized, okay, I can't make any assumption about what languages anyone is speaking because there are, for instance, like some regions that have more of an influence of Darija, the Moroccan Arabic, or where people aren't so much, there aren't as many Amazigh people, so they're not speaking Tamazight there. So I did notice that it was more when I went into the villages or certain regions that people were speaking Tamazight. And for me, if I just said like one phrase to them, just saying hello or how are you, that just meant so much to them, and it created an immediate doorway because there aren't a lot of people who look like me who aren't Amazigh who are studying this language. So that was really engaging and exciting. But yeah, here at least in Santa Cruz, California, where I live, I don't think I know anybody aside from my two teachers and then the music students who are studying this language or who even know it exists. Yeah.
And what has probably been the most difficult thing you've encountered in your studies so far?
I think the most difficult has been just not really having access to like resources to really study it. Yeah.
I can imagine that. I think I saw something for the Peace Corps online, and then I found one book on Amazon.com. I was lucky to be able to get the ebook at a cheaper price. But I think any materials that I found, some are marked at like $200.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, one of my friends who speaks French as well, she's been more successful in learning in certain ways because a lot of the resources, the materials that have been made are in French, and so that's been a little bit easier. But in terms of like learning as a native English speaker, it's been a little bit more challenging. So my best, what's been easy and great is having teachers like the iTalk guy. I feel like that provides structure that is crucial in trying to learn this language.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of them, because of the lack of resources for English speakers, are making their own material. And I've seen some of it, and it's so well prepared, well thought out, and
cool.
really, really good way of learning. So just to clarify, the university in Mexico and the university in Agadir, they have a connection. They have you said an agreement, like a cooperative program.
Yes.
Okay, so somebody that would like to do that, how would they get started? Would they go check at their local university to see if they offer something like that, or are there very few schools that do that?
Well, in my case, as I am researcher in the University of Mexico,
Mhm.
I contact the director of the responsible there in the Faculté de Lettres in Agadir.
Mhm.
Eh, um, this person has been so nice with me and so open, and I talked with him about my project, and he told me that he was interested about the project. So we began to talk, and after that I made a travel. I made a trip to the university to know him and to meet all the people working there, and they were interested because it's a very interesting project about hospitality.
And I think the final question I have, or it's like a two-part question. It's what advice would you have for somebody that's thinking about learning the language? Uh, and what could you say to encourage somebody who's thinking about learning it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would I would ask them if there's a particular, like, are they interested in food? Are they interested in music? Are they interested in dance? Or like if there's some kind of a more of a, or history or culture, some kind of a something that's like a window in to keep, to like spark that passion and the connection. Because for instance, like, one of the things that was exciting to me is, okay, I really want to learn Moroccan cuisine and learn how to cook. And so how, like, by learning the language, that's a really amazing gateway in. So yeah, that's what I would say is, like, what are the things that you love, and then finding ways to connect through that, through the language.
Yeah, I agree with that because I'm interested in cooking. I'm interested in music as well. And my impression of the language was, oh my goodness, this is hard. I saw a whole bunch of consonants lumped together, and I freaked out. The pronunciation. So I think
Yeah.
something really motivating, such as a passion like cooking or music, or is something great to kind of get you over that hump,
Yeah.
give you that little push that you need to, keep moving forward when it gets tough.
Yeah, when it get, yeah, exactly. I know, and I think about it too. For instance, like Hawaiian, how Hawaiian language has so many vowels. It's pretty much
Hmm.
just a river of vowels. And then Tashilhit, Tamazir is the opposite to me, because they could just do without vowels altogether, I feel like. So yeah. I know.
What tips would you give to anybody that is thinking about learning the language? What advice would you give to them if they told you, oh, well, I'm thinking about it. Should I do it?
Well, I think the tips has to, I could say that they don't give up. I mean that they stay there, even if the first 2 months, when they start, they can feel that it's so hard,
Mhm.
but they keep. And I think that after the 3 months, we can. I mean, we have the basic,
Mhm.
the basic to improve.
Yes.
Yes. Well, but we have to stay there.
Uh-huh.
To stay there. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for your time and telling us what you know and your experience with Tamazight. It's certainly a very interesting language, and the people are their culture is an amazing one. And thank you so much for shedding some light on it for those of us that didn't know. And I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks to you, Jessica. Thank you.
But
Well,
yeah,
thank you so much for
yeah.
talking to me about Tamazight, and I really appreciate it, and hope that anybody who's interested will explore it and give it a try.
Yeah, me too. Ulanki.
Thanks.
All right, thanks, Jessica.
Okay.
And that concludes our segment on Tamazight. Maybe this is the language for you. If you feel like it is, I highly encourage you to check it out and maybe talk to some of the people we heard from today. Also, stay with us for week 3 and you'll find out what the next language is on the 52 Pickup Project. Also, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Until next time,